The end of one era brings the beginning of another, as Greenwood Village will elect a new mayor and 8 city council members in November 2011. For Dave Kerber and Gary Kleeman, it is the end of their time together on the city council after serving 8 years together, but their time that they served will not be forgotten. In working for improvements in water quality, transportation, parks, trails and open space, and development issues to name a few, the two played important roles in moving Greenwood Village forward. Tonight, we honor their commitment and their dedication to the city of Greenwood Village. Dave Kerber joined the City Council in 2003 after serving on the village's Planning and Zoning Commission for 4 years. From his first day he served on the City Council, Dave was respected by all his fellow council members right from the start.
Dave Kerber was a mentor for me when I first got on the council. He talked to me quite extensively in the very beginning about what his views about the city were. He was always for having the city really stand for very good principles. He goes over everything so meticulously. That's probably the lawyer in him, and I really respect that because he picks up on things that totally I wouldn't have thought of.
When I think about Dave Kerber, I think about a dedicated public servant who has spent many years of his life in the service of Greenwood Village, who very carefully prepares for every meeting and who really probes the details.
He always challenged us. He challenged himself and he challenged everybody else on the city council. You always knew where he stood, and that was really important. You may not have agreed with him, and there may have been great debate over his issue, but you always knew where he stood.
Dave Kerber is an outstanding council member and mayor pro tem. I'm amazed at the amount of detail he's able to absorb. He obviously reads everything put in front of him and has lots of questions, gets into the detail, and gets right to the point.
As a city council member, Dave Kerber was always focused on promoting the best interest of citizens. He often took the lead in discussions and made sure his strong voice was heard on several issues.
I think Dave's overall goal as a council member was to keep the city a village where people could live the life they chose when they moved here.
He's a tireless advocate for the citizens of his district and for the citizens of the village as a whole, and for his vision of Greenwood Village, what it should be now and in the future.
Dave's 3 main characteristics are that he's principled, passionate, and persuasive. His principles are derived from a deep-rooted sense of ethical behavior, and he's always about doing what's right. And he's very passionate about many issues, one of which is good government.
Being another District 2 council member, I do look up to Dave. He brought me in this situation. I've been with him for 4 years. He's been on council for 8, and he is just, he's very articulate. People listen, he carries a big voice, and whether he wins or not, I'm sure it probably does bug him a few times that he doesn't get what he wants, but he puts it all out there on the table, and win or lose, at the end of the day, he knows he made Greenwood Village a better place than when he came into it.
Dave's passion for a number of quality of life issues included active work to make sure development and redevelopment projects did not compromise city values. Development projects like the Landmark, Village Center, and Cooney Lexus were all milestone projects on which Dave helped the village accomplish.
I think that the thing that I admired most about Dave and his work with development projects was always getting to the heart of the matter and figuring out all the potential consequences, some unforeseen, that might come from that development project.
You know, Dave always wanted to make sure that development that happened in the village was the best it could be, and that it would fit with the vision of the village for the future, and that its impacts on citizens were mitigated. And to that end, he sometimes was not as pro-development as perhaps some council members, but I always believed that Dave had a good sense of where the village was headed and where he wanted it to head.
Dave's perspective on the development is that he recognizes and certainly wants a good development within the city, no doubt about that, but he wants the right kind of development.
Without his leadership and his advocacy, there may be more residential development in Greenwood than maybe is beneficial for the amount of traffic that we would experience otherwise.
Dave felt very strongly that City Council was not here to represent the developers. City Council, in Dave's view, and he felt very strongly about this, he reiterated it several times, City Council is here to represent the citizens of Greenwood Village and not the developers. And Dave always felt very strongly that often the citizens were not at the table, and it was our job to give voice to their concerns.
Other accomplishments for Dave Kerber during his tenure on the City Council included his work to secure additional land in the Marjorie Perry Nature Preserve to preserve as open space. The land would otherwise have been developed as single-family homes. Today, the Marjorie Perry Nature Preserve is a hidden treasure of 59 acres of open space surrounded by one of Colorado's premier trail networks, the Highline Canal Trail, amongst a backdrop of scenic landscapes. Dave also served as chair of the Cherry Creek Basin Authority that helped improve water quality at Cherry Creek Reservoir.
The Water Quality Board, I think, is extremely important, and we're extremely cutting edge in that we probably have the toughest water quality standards of almost any basin possibly in America. And Dave was deeply involved in the contracts, the kind of thinking that we went through, how we approached the state, and how we dealt with the problems that we had in the basin. He's very pragmatic about that. He's very instrumental in us installing an aeration system into Cherry Creek Reservoir that has done amazing things to the water quality. People marvel at what the changes that have been made since I came on the board, since Dave came on the board. Our water quality is better, the fishery is better, our fish kills have disappeared virtually. People notice the difference.
During his time on the City Council, Dave always paid attention to the details so that constituents didn't have to. Not only was Dave committed to solving regional and village-wide issues, he also had a deep commitment to protect his constituents of District 2.
We had lots of issues in my 4 years with Dave on council. First being coyotes. It was very, very contentious, but in the end, I believe that the people truly believe we did the right thing in our decisions. Dave led it. I helped lead that charge, and we were successful with our coyote hazing program. That, coupled with Orchard Road, homeowners in Greenwood Hills are passionate about not expanding Orchard Road, and I think we've been very, very successful in finally getting Orchard Road to be hopefully 2 lanes forever. That was big on Dave's list. And really the last thing is this ballot initiative that is coming out November 1.
Dave Kerber's last day on the City Council will be November 7th. Even though we will not have a nameplate on the City Council dais, his colleagues will always remember Dave's values and keep his teachings close as they begin a new chapter on the City Council.
Dave made me a better person for considering my city in all aspects.
I appreciate his wisdom, his counsel, and his thoughtfulness in working with me as a staff member here at the City of Greenwood Village. It's been very helpful in putting forth our best efforts in providing service to the community.
Only one thing I could say about Dave, and that is good riddance. Why did it take so long? I'm glad he's gone. Well, he's a good friend. I would put him as in the best friend category.
It's going to be tough to fill that big voice. You know, Dave he's told me that he was tired of being the bad guy, but he knew he needed to continue to fill that role. But Dave was always the leader in putting the issues out there. And it's going to be tough to carry that type of voice, but I think the rest of us know that void will be there, and we'll have to step up and come to the forefront with the issues as Dave did.
Dave Kerber has represented the best of the best, the smartest of the smartest, and he has made all of us much smarter and much better at what we do.
Gary Kleeman was first appointed to the City Council in 2003 after serving on the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Commission. His colleagues on the City Council have gained a great appreciation for the type of person Gary Kleeman is.
What comes to mind when I think about Gary Kleeman is a picture of a principled individual, one who knows his true star, his direction in life.
He has been very gracious and kind to me as a newbie on Greenwood Village City Council from District 4.
Gary Kleeman is quietly insightful. And what I respect about Gary is that when he was on the prevailing side of council, when he agreed with the discussion, when he agreed with council opinion, he never felt the need to have to voice his opinion just to be heard. But you could count on Gary to voice the minority view, especially when it came to people and issues that he felt impacted people.
Gary Kleeman definitely is a family man, and I think every decision that he made considered his entire family, how his kids would grow up in the city, and I think we have changed with the times, and I think he's kept all that in mind for his family and what the future will bring for Greenwood Village.
Because of his avid interest as a cyclist, Gary was considered the resident expert on parks, trails, and recreation issues.
Gary is a really strong advocate for the outdoors, and I think that's one of the things we could always count on Gary, is bringing a perspective as a person who rides bicycles, who runs.
Gary often led the charge to enhance the city's parks and trails system. Among his priorities was the development of the 90-acre area of Village Greens Park North. Gary helped spearhead a master plan for the park's future design and amenities. As a result of Gary's leadership, Village Greens North Park will include mountain biking trails, rock climbing, and a disc golf course.
Well, I think most of us, and certainly I, associate Village Greens North with Gary Kleeman. If it weren't for Gary, I don't think that project would have gotten off the ground, and certainly he has been the most avid and the most vocal supporter of Village Greens North. And in my view, while Gary has many legacies on council, that really is his crowning achievement, and he deserves all the credit he gets for that project.
Village Greens North Park, in continuing and developing that from a family standpoint to cover all age groups of children.
I would give Gary credit for the development of the Village North Park. It's clear that his leadership, his persistence, his service to his constituency there in the Village North has generated the funds and the excitement to finally have the Village Park North actually come to fruition here.
In addition to being an advocate for park improvements, Gary Kleeman also had a commitment to enhance the local and regional trail networks. Gary always supported many trail improvements to meet the growing demand of trail users.
Gary was a real advocate for trail connections for the village, and in particular, the Village Greens North currently has a 1-mile concrete trail loop within Village Greens North, but that trail connects to the Cherry Creek Dam Trail as well as to the bridge, Phantom Bridge, which takes individuals into Denver and connects users to the Denver Trail Network as well.
He's a great advocate for open space parks and trails in Arapahoe County, and we just need more people, more elected officials like him, and it's just been great working with him. We sure wish him the best.
Councilmember Gary Kleeman had many attributes as a city council member. One attribute in particular that gained respect from his colleagues on council is his personal style and approach to address every issue.
The thing I remember most about Gary is his broadcaster's voice. It was this deep, booming, authoritative voice that he has.
Gary isn't always the first person to join in the debate. Instead, what Gary does is he sits there and listens very carefully to the debate. And often he is a man of few but wise words. So after the debate is over, or toward the end of the debate, Gary will weigh in and in a few short words summarize where we need to go.
When we started, I think we were on opposite sides on several things right out of the chute. But as we grew together and learned each other's styles, I think that we became very, very respectful for what we believed in. And when he talks, I really listen to what he has to say. And I like to follow when he is passionate about something. I know that it's going to be good for the city, so I really listen hard, and in most cases I vote with him.
He was a good influence on our council, and he was never afraid to say how he felt about something. And I think that was important. Sometimes people would be nervous about how their constituents might perceive a vote on something. Gary voted how he felt, and that was really important, what he felt was best for his constituents. And he didn't look back, and I really respect that.
While Councilmember Kleeman says when he leaves City Council, he will miss the camaraderie and his involvement to help determine the future shape of Greenwood Village, his colleagues say they will miss him, too, in more ways than one.
On Monday nights, if there was a sports game going on in the city, Gary would always have it playing in the background of his city council computer, and you could always depend on him in an appropriate lull to update everybody on the score. So I'm going to be thinking of Gary on Monday nights now, sitting at home in the comfort of his home, watching his sports on his big screen TV, and maybe he'll send us a text update every once in a while if it's an important game.
I think I would thank Gary for his willingness to be a part of the team here at the city and to work with everybody, including all the staff members and the rest of City Council, into really shaping what the future of the city looks like. And the fact that he has different points of views and he's willing to share those, which has really created an opportunity for all of us to think differently and to really end up getting to the best place that we can and providing outcomes to the city.
I distinctly remember being at a Greenwood Village Days program, and the two of us had the opportunity to get up in a fire truck, bucket truck. And so the fire department took the two of us, got up on this big, huge lift. And I have a picture with both me and Gary with the village greens in the background. And I sent him that picture and put a caption on it that says, it's amazing what a different perspective you have from up here. And that's really about Gary. He brings a different perspective on things.
I don't know if anyone else notices, but Gary and I are the only guys up there having 2, 3, sometimes 4 helpings of food. And I believe we're the only guys that can eat and eat and eat and eat and never gain a pound. Keep eating good meals on Monday nights. I don't know if I'll be able to eat all your helpings, but I'll eat 3. I'll go in there and have 3 servings, and I'll go up for a 4th serving. And in my thoughts of you as you enjoy the sunsets on Monday night.
We're going to miss you, but we really appreciate what you've done for our city and particularly for our District 4.
There are a lot of things that contribute to making Greenwood Village special, but we can't forget citizens like Dave Kerber and Gary Kleeman, who offer their energy, dedication, and talents as public servants. Citizens who are concerned about the quality of life in Greenwood Village and who are willing to do something about it. To Dave and Gary, the City of Greenwood Village thanks you for your time, your efforts, and commitment. You have made Greenwood Village a better place.